I've lived in the same apartment for 3 years, not fancy. Two-bedroom, older building, nothing included except water. Quiet area, no drama. Rent was $1,734 per month. I set up automatic payments through my bank the week I moved in and never missed one. Then, a month ago, the signs went up. New management. Welcome to Terra Firm Living. They changed the leasing office hours, put up banners about modernizing the property, promised better maintenance response times. The old staff disappeared overnight, no explanation. Just a new website and a flyer on my door with a QR code and a login for their new tenant portal. I logged in. My info wasn't there. No rent history, no lease documents, no name even. I submitted a support ticket. Hi, I've been living in Unit 2B since 2021. Rent's always paid on time. Please update my account. They replied 2 days later. Please upload proof of residency and payment for the past 6 months. We are unable to verify your tenancy through our system. That was weird, but fine. I uploaded PDF bank statements showing monthly transfers to the old landlord. Added my signed lease and renewal. Even had emails from the previous property manager confirming my last 2 rent increases. No response. Then 5 days later, I got the notice. Subject: Final payment request. $7,224.56. Overdue attached was a statement saying I hadn't paid rent since February 1, which was a lie. It listed 4 missed months, plus $150 late fee per month, plus a $600 reinstatement charge I called the number. A woman answered, clearly reading from a script. Unfortunately, because your payment history was with the previous management company, and they did not migrate the financial records to our platform, we're unable to verify your balance independently. I asked her, so you just assume no one paid rent until you showed up? She said, unless you can prove each individual payment with confirmation numbers tied to our system, the balance remains outstanding. What system? They'd been in charge for a month. I told her I had bank statements. She said, those are insufficient unless they show our entity as payee. That was impossible. I'd paid the old owner. Legally, on time, for years. She said I'd have to dispute the balance through formal arbitration, and if I didn't, they'd begin eviction proceedings within 14 days. I started digging. I wasn't the only one. One neighbor, older guy downstairs, had a handwritten note on his door. I'm not leaving. I paid every damn month. You can't erase me. Another posted in the building group chat that she got billed for missing security deposits, even though she'd moved in 10 years ago. One unit where a young couple lived had movers outside loading their stuff. I asked them what happened. The woman said, they said we had a $9,000 balance. We freaked out and just left. We can't risk a court case. That night, I pulled every single transaction tied to rent for the last 3 years. All time-stamped. All verified. But when I emailed them, a full zip archive with bank letters and signed leases, I got a short reply. We have no contractual obligation to honor financial records not recorded by our company. If you believe this is an error, you may submit a formal review. The link led to a form that asked for a $150 processing fee to dispute a balance I didn't owe. That's when I realized this wasn't incompetence, it was a strategy. They weren't confused. They were resetting tenant histories on purpose, wiping ledgers, pretending they didn't exist, then sending mass notices with inflated charges, late fees, and terms no one agreed to. And if even 10% of tenants caved and paid, they'd make tens of thousands instantly. If someone left in fear, they'd flip the unit for higher rent the next month. And if you fought it, you'd be buried in legalese and fake deadlines until you broke or got evicted anyway. I wasn't going to roll over, but the clock had started. 13 days left. On day 2 after the notice, I stopped trying to reason with the property manager. Their phone support said nothing new. Their online portal kept glitching. The chatbots just repeated policy. So I started digging somewhere else. County records. Every sale of real estate over $50,000 has to be recorded. I found the online database for property transfers in my county. It took 5 minutes to find my building. The sale closed 2 months ago. Seller, East Point Equity Holdings. Buyer, Terraform Living LLC. The weird part was the sale price. It listed $0, just a transfer between legal entities. I checked who owned East Point. Same address as Terraform. They'd sold the building to themselves through an intermediary LLC. The law calls it a title wash. That explained the reset. By transferring the asset to a shell company, they could legally restart tenant ledgers because, technically, no prior rental contracts existed anymore. The company on paper was new, so they could say all records before acquisition were unverifiable. It wasn't illegal, just manipulative. They weren't honoring anything that couldn't be tied directly to their name, even though all leases were still binding. That night, I looked up rent ledger resets and found a blog post by a tenant rights lawyer. It described my exact situation. A large property firm creates a new LLC, transfers the deed to it. Tells tenants all previous rent payments are unverifiable. Offers to waive fees if they agree to new lease terms with higher rent. Threatens eviction if they refuse. It was called a paper eviction funnel. No sheriff involved, no court date. Just a cold paper trail that ends with you disappearing and them flipping the unit. I went further. Pulled property tax filings. Same trick. Different LLC name. Backdated address updates. I called a local housing advocate and asked if they'd heard of Terraform. They laughed. Yeah, they own 19 buildings in this county. They do this every year. I sent them my full rent history. They said I had a solid case if I was willing to go through mediation. I asked what the outcome usually was. If you're loud, organized, and can prove everything, they fold. That was the key. I had to prove the pattern, not just my own innocence. So I knocked on doors, talked to 8 neighbors. 3 had left already. 2 were planning to. One older woman showed me her lease from 2015. She was being told she never existed in the system. Her new move-in date was listed as 3 weeks ago. Another guy, mid-30s, had gotten a notice that his security deposit was never processed, despite having a check receipt. All of us had documentation. All of us were being told it didn't matter, so I created a shared drive, uploaded everyone's evidence, dates, letters, screenshots. I printed a QR code linking to it and stuck it to the bulletin board in the laundry room. Within 24 hours, 6 more tenants added their cases. Then someone forwarded me a lease addendum that had just been posted online from Terraform's legal site. A new clause. By continuing to reside in this unit beyond July 1st, tenant agrees to abide by the updated financial terms and agrees to release former owners and entities of liability. They were trying to rewrite history with a click, and if we didn't challenge it before July 1st, we'd lose the chance. I filed an official complaint with HUD, attached all evidence, photos, PDFs, county records, tax filings. Then I wrote a public Reddit post detailing the entire scam. No names, just facts. Included links to news articles where Terraform had settled similar complaints in Texas, Arizona, and Florida. The post got traction. In 2 days, it hit 20,000 upvotes. A local reporter reached out, asked if I was willing to go on the record. I said yes. But before that story went live, Terraform emailed me again. We've reevaluated your dispute. The outstanding balance has been waived. Thank you for your patience. No apology. Just wiped it. Like it never happened. But the others hadn't heard anything yet. I forwarded them the email, told them what worked. The next morning, the bulletin board was gone. Not the sign, the whole thing. Screws still in the wall. Board vanished, but it didn't matter. We had our own board now, and they'd just given us even more proof. A week after they waived my fake balance, they stopped responding to the group emails. It wasn't just me anymore. Tenants from 4 other Terraform buildings in the city found the Reddit thread. I started getting messages like, they told me I owed $4,600 even though I paid every month. Same scam in our building, just a new LLC name. We called it a shadow ledger, and they only count what they want. It wasn't isolated, it was a pattern. And now people had names, documents, screenshots. That's when Terraform switched tactics. New notices went out, bright red paper. Subject line, scheduled unit renovation, immediate compliance required. They were forcing luxury upgrades. Everyone had to vacate for 12 to 16 weeks while construction was done. Rent would be paused, but residents had to find their own housing. No guarantee of return. And here was the catch. Upon project completion, tenants may reapply for residency at current market rates. Market rate equals 41% higher than what most of us were paying. It was an eviction. Just wearing a hard hat. The permits for renovation hadn't even been approved yet. I checked the city's public planning database. Their application was pending review, but they were already threatening to gut the building. I called the housing advocate again. She said it was a known maneuver. If they can't scare you with fake rent debt, they'll remove you with redevelopment. It's legal if they call it temporary. Tenants from all 3 floors got the same paper. One woman in 2A, single mom, 2 kids, asked me if she was allowed to stay. I told her they couldn't force us out unless the permit was finalized, but she had nowhere to go. Another tenant had already left. His nameplate was gone. His door had new locks. It didn't make sense. I checked that morning. He hadn't posted anything in the group chat. Then someone found his new rental listing online. Same unit. Photos already staged. Rent set at $2,995 per month. We realized what happened. They lied about the renovation. They just flipped the unit. We posted everything. Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, even Craigslist. Every tenant uploaded their renovation notice. The group drive was now 2.4 gigabytes, full of PDFs, screenshots, permit scans, LLC ownership structures, and old rent checks. Someone in the chat said, "We don't need a lawyer, we need a flashlight and a camera." So we went bigger. A local housing nonprofit helped us send a demand letter to Terra Firm's regional office. 10 pages, signed by 17 residents. The final line was simple. Until a certified inspector verifies structural need for renovation, we will not vacate. Any unauthorized lockouts will be treated as constructive eviction and reported to the city's housing authority. We CC'd the city. The next day, 2 news vans showed up. Within 48 hours, the city issued a temporary freeze on the permits. A formal inspection was scheduled. Terra Firm went silent. Then came the knock. A guy in a blazer showed up with a clipboard, said he was from asset restructuring. Not from the city, from Terra Firm. He smiled, tried to be friendly. "We want to work with you. We didn't expect so much resistance." That was the wrong word. I told him, "You didn't expect tenants to be organized." He shrugged. "We'll just accelerate the sell-off." And that's when we understood the whole play. They were never trying to run buildings. They were flipping them for profit, empty or not. The evictions were just inventory control. But now they had a problem. Too many units with active disputes, too many tenants still in place, too much public attention. Within a month, the building went up for sale. Not as luxury units, just one big asset dump. They sold it to another firm, one that didn't want to fight. The new company sent a short note. "We respect existing leases and will be reaching out for optional renewals." That was it. No debt, no late fees, no forced upgrades, no apology. Because they never apologize. They just move on to the next zip code and try again, and we stay. For now. Still watching the mail, still documenting, still waiting for the next scam wrapped in official paper. But they know now. This building doesn't go down quietly.